All right, in this video, we're going to start in Revelation chapter 20 and verse 9, and we're going to be looking at the sixth of seven visions of victory. And this is the one, the heading on the list there says the New Jerusalem, but I think there's a better heading and it's built into the text. If you want to write it, that's fine, but if you highlight it, I will show you. Remember, the show you is a reminder of our vision. We're on the sixth of seven visions. I will show you the bride, the wife of the Lamb. I talked about this in our last video when I said this bride, the wife of the Lamb, the New Jerusalem, that is intentionally opposite of Babylon, who is the prostitute who horses around with the dragon and the beast. And so you're either one or the other. And so that's the reason why I put this New Jerusalem. This is the opposite of Babylon, and probably I should put Babylon / prostitute so I can remember Babylon contrast with Jerusalem, prostitute contrast with wife, the bride of the Lamb. And so let's mark this vision. If you don't already have it, I will show you the bride, the wife of the Lamb. And then the note there is that this is the sixth of seven visions, 6/7 on that one. Let's read the first couple of verses, and I want to give you just a little bit of context here. Maybe we'll start in verse 9 and we'll go down to verse 11. Then came one of the seven angels who had the seven bowls full of the seven last plagues, and spoke to me, saying, Come, I will show you the bride, the wife of the Lamb. And he carried me away in the Spirit to a great high mountain, and showed me the holy city Jerusalem coming down out of heaven from God, having the glory of God, its radiance, like a most rare jewel, like a jasper and crystal. Okay, so here comes the bride, the New Jerusalem, the city of God's people coming down out of heaven. And one of the things that I would like for you to mark and remember, do you remember, let's do this real quick. Let me pull my dot cam up here. Do you remember in chapter 20, this is the section that talks about the defeat of the dragon. And it says, when the 1,000 years are ended, Satan will be released from his prison and will come out to deceive the nations that are at the four corners of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them for battle, their numbers like the sand of the sea. And do you remember that? Gog and Magog was a reference to Ezekiel 38 and 39. Okay, so let's do this. How can I do this one? Let's go here to our reference side, Ezekiel 38. This is the prophecy against Gog. The green that I have marked in there is that God is in total control of this entire thing. He's the one driving the bus, but you've got Gog and Magog and all of this. There's going to be this great war. God's going to defeat all of his enemies, and his people are ultimately going to be victorious. That's what we're looking at here in Ezekiel 38 and 39. But then check this out. Then you come to it really starts here in chapter 39 and verse 25. Therefore, thus says the Lord God, now I will restore the fortunes of Jacob and have mercy on the whole house of Israel. So, okay, I defeated all of my enemies. Now I'm going to bring back my people. But I'm going to look here at chapter 40 and verse 1. It says, in the 25th year of our exile, at the beginning of the year, on the 10th day of the month, in the 14th year after the city was struck down, on that very day the hand of the Lord was upon me, and he brought me to the city. In visions of God, he brought me to the land of Israel and set me down on a very high mountain. Remember, look, let's see, go back here real quick. He carried me away in the Spirit to a great high mountain and showed me the holy city Jerusalem coming down out of heaven from God. Ezekiel chapter 40 and verse 2. He brought me out of the land of Israel. He set me down on a very high mountain on which was a structure like a city to the south. When he brought me there, behold, there was a man in appearance. And all of that just to say this. I think that what we're looking at here is just carrying on the story from Ezekiel. God deleted. He defeated his enemies, the dragon, the prostitute, the two beasts, the dragon, and death. That was the great war of Gog and Magog. And now the next part of that story is Ezekiel chapter 40, where God is going to carry me away to a great high mountain, and he's going to show me a structure on this mountain, a city. But it's more than a city. You might want to call it like a city, but also a temple. And we'll look at that in just a second. Okay, so make sure that you put that in teal because that's a reference to the Old Testament, that we're just carrying this picture forward. Now let me show you what we're going to do for the rest of this video. In verses 12 through 21, which takes us not quite to the end of the chapter, but in verses 12 through 21, purple is the color that I use, obviously, for subpoints, but purple is also the color that I use to track themes through a text. And so one of the themes that you see all the way through this text is that there is going to be a lot of 12. And 12, if you are a Bible person, is God's people. God's people come in 12s. There are the 12 tribes of Israel. There are the 12 apostles. The 12 that we're looking at here is representative of God's people. And so I would like to just read through this text starting in verse 12. You know what? I think I can do it like this. 12 through 21. And I'm going to add a note to my study Bible. And this note needs to be purple. And what I need to say is that Revelation 21 verses 12 through 21 equals lots of 12 equals God's people. How about that for a note? It's just a reminder to me that that's what we're talking about here. I don't know why I don't see it here. Oh, there it is. Look at that, how it's over here on this edge. That's dumb. Okay, so let's go ahead and read it. And I don't think in my electronic Bible, I don't think that I have a purple underline feature, but I use my purple pen and I just underline all of the 12s. All right, so that's what we're going to be doing. Maybe I'll check on the first one. All right, verse 12, let's do it. It had this structure, the structure that I see on the great high mountain of God. All gods in the ancient world live on a mountain. God is no different. Now I'm not going to take the time to do this right now, but even Eden, when we think about the city of Eden, the Garden of Eden, the Bible tells us that it was up on a mountain. And so gods live on mountains. The God of the Bible, even so, lives on a mountain. So we look up on the mountain, and here is this great structure. Verse 12. The structure, it had a great high wall with 12 gates. All right. For this first one, let me see if I have a purple underline real quick. I got a blue underline, a green underline, red. Don't have a purple underline. I think I can make one, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to pencil underline. It's not as good as my purple pen. Having a physical Bible is better. It had a great high wall with 12 gates. And at the gates, 12 angels. And on the gates, the names of the 12 tribes of the sons of Israel were inscribed. And on the east, now I did not highlight this, but because it's on the gates, and so since there are 4 sides, you've got 3, 6, 9, 12, 3, 3, 3, 3. That's 12. I didn't do the 3, but you might if you want to. Verse 13. On the east, there's 3 gates. On the north, 3 gates. On the south, 3 gates. On the west, 3 gates. So 12. Verse 14. And the wall of the city had 12 foundations. So there's lots of 12 here. And on them, on those 12 foundations, were the 12 names of the 12 apostles. So we've already got the 12 tribes of the sons of Israel and the 12 apostles. We're talking about the fullness of God's people. This is all of God's people, all of God's saints throughout all history, Old Testament and New Testament. Let's see. I don't want to miss anything here. Verse 15. All right. Verse 15. And the one who spoke with me had a measuring rod of gold to measure the city and its gates and its walls. The city lies 4 square. Let me stop here for 1 second. I'm going to put a note in there real quick. I would like to do this. If you are going to take these videos and teach other people with them, don't just come right out and say this. Ask the question and let people think it through. The city lies 4 square. That's perfect. It's perfect. 4 perfect equal sides. And you say, what in the Bible has 4 perfect sides? 4 is a perfectly square structure. And you think about it and you're like, the Holy of Holies. In the tabernacle and the temple structure, you had the court around the tabernacle, you had the holy place where the priests worked, but then you had the most holy place, which is where the Ark of the Covenant is, and the smoke of the glory of the presence of God filled that place. This is where God is. And so when you see this, that the city is perfectly square, you're thinking to yourself, the most holy place, because this is where God is. In fact, if you look down to verse 22, go away. And I saw no temple in the city, for its temple is the Lord God Almighty. That passage, this city being 4 square, is telling you this is the place where God is. And so let's just make a note here. The city lies 4 square, its length the same as its width. We'll put our note on 4 square. And my note is going to say, I don't want that purple. It's just a note, so a yellow note. And my note is going to say, compare, I do CF for compare the most holy place. And I'm going to reference Ezekiel 41 and verse 4, 1 Kings chapter 6 and verse 20. And also I'm going to say see our chapter right here, Revelation 21 and verse 22. That's what we looked at just now. 22 said there's no temple in the city because the temple is the city. God is there. Let's look at these. Ezekiel 41 and verse 4. And he measured the length of the room, 20 cubits its breadth, 20 cubits across. He said, this is the most holy place. Perfectly 4 square is the place where God is. 1 Kings chapter 6 and verse 20 is a description of Solomon's temple. The inner sanctuary was 20 cubits long, 20 cubits wide, 20 cubits high. And he overlaid it with pure gold. So 4 square, the place where God is. Um, okay, let's keep going here real quick. Verse 16. Are we there? The city lies foursquare, its length the same as its width, and he measured the city with a rod, 12,000 stadia. I want to tell you something about this. See the note when I click on 12,000 stadia? It says about 1,380 miles is the width of this city. I think this is what I have a little note here. The New American Standard and the ESV marginal note misses the point. If you have a version of the Bible that says the measurement of the city is about 1,500 miles or however many, whatever the number is, no, don't do that. Then you lose the 12 factor. It's 12,000 stadia, and the 12 factor is what's important for this entire text. So make sure you underline that one because that's one of our 12. Its length and width and height are equal. Same, so we're still talking about the city, and it's like, it's a cube. It's a perfectly square cube. It's the place where God is. Verse 17. He also measured its wall, 144 cubits. 144 gross, factor of 12. 140, don't translate it. I mean, if you want to know like how big it is, look at your note. A cubit's about 18 inches, so how much is 144? But don't translate it. Leave the 12 factor. That's what's important. 144 cubits by human measurement, which is also an angel's measurement. The wall was built of jasper, while the city was pure gold like clear glass. The foundations of the wall of the city were adorned with every kind of jewel. Okay. I'm not sure how we're going to want to write this. Let's start thinking about this right now. Every kind of jewel. What did I do in my Bible? Let's just read it. Every kind of jewel. The first was jasper, second sapphire, the third. I don't know what a lot of these words are. I don't know what these jewels are. Agate, I don't know. The fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. And then you come down to the end and look, there's 12 jewels. So how do we want to mark that? Maybe something like this. I can do this in my Bible on the screen here because I can delete it really easy. So how about this? Every kind of jewel, and I'm just going to underline the 12th one. I think that's what I've done. Here I've got 12,000, 144. Oh, look, I put brackets over here. Every kind of jewel, here's my purple brackets, and I did the 12th of that. So while we're talking about this, every kind of jewel, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make another note on this section, verse 19 all the way down to verse 20 on these 12 jewels. Add a note. I'm going to make this a purple note because it has to do with our 12. And this is another one of those things where if you're going to teach this class to somebody else, stop for 1 second. Don't jump right to the thing, but say, hey, look, 12 different jewels. What does that remind you of? Where do we see these 12 different kinds of jewels? And you might remember that the high priest in the Old Testament wore these 12 jewels on his breastplate, and they represented the 12 tribes of Israel, the people of God. And so that's what my note is going to be. I'm going to say Revelation 21 verses 19 through 20. The 12 jewels remind us of the high priestly breastplate, which equals, I want to write both of these, 12 tribes, God's people. The point is all of God's people. And I'm definitely going to want a reference to that. Exodus 28 and verses 15 to 21. Because there's no way I'm going to remember where that goes. Look, Exodus 28 and verses 15 to 21. You shall make a breastplate of judgment and skilled work. In the style of the ephod you shall make it. Gold, blue, purple yarn, fine twined. It shall be square and double its span. Its length, its span, its breadth. You shall put 4 rows of stones. And then you've got the different stones that are on there. Verse 21, there shall be 12 stones with their names according to the names of the sons of Israel. The 12 tribes. And so the main point of this city, the foundations of the wall of the city were adorned with every kind of jewel. It reminds us 12, like all of God's people. That's the big thing with this whole section. Okay, verse 21. Let's go to verse 21. I want to make sure that I'm not going to miss anything here. I think that this is the end of our section right now. And the 12 gates were 12 pearls. Lots of 12. Each of the gates made of a single pearl, and the street of the city was pure gold like transparent glass. Okay. I think that that's the end of the 12 section, but we're still going to finish up by talking about the rest of the bride, who is opposite the prostitute, the New Jerusalem, who is opposite Babylon. Verse 22. And I saw no temple in the city, for its temple is the Lord God, the Almighty, and the Lamb. A temple is the place where God is, presence. It's a restoration of the way that things should have been from the very start. We're going back into the presence of God. Verse 23, the city has no need of sun or moon to shine on it, for the glory of God gives it light, and its lamp is the Lamb. By its light will the nations walk, and the kings of the earth will bring their glory into it, and its gates will never be shut by day. There will be no night there. They will bring into it the glory and the honor of the nations, but nothing unclean will ever enter it, nor anyone who does what is detestable or false, but only those who are written in the Lamb's book of life. And you know what I'm about to say, don't you? You really want your name in that book. So I think that's it for vision number 6. We've got one more vision, and then we'll do some conclusion stuff with the rest of this book.